The meeting is being recorded. It's being held under the auspices of the governor's executive orders. At this point, I'm going to tell the participants to go ahead and unmute, and we'll see how that goes. If we get feedback problems or whatever, we'll deal with that as we go along. It's Jamie. Okay. I'm still letting people in as we go along. So just keep in mind, like I said, that there could be press here, and please, let's be a little smart about what we say, as the meeting, of course, too, is being recorded and will be posted on the city's website. So hope everyone understands that. With that said, I'm going to call the meeting to order. I do have the agenda, I think, shared right now on here. Whoops. I'm just going to resume that share. And I'm trying to do this and keep multiple screens open here. So this is one of my first shots at running. I have a new setup at home, and although this one I'm using my laptop for, but I'm still multiple screens on that. So anyway, so I'm just getting used to everything. So I believe we have a quorum present. I am going to read off the roster in a second here, if I can have it posted. So myself, I'm here. Obviously, Stacy Gould, Joe DeLucia is here. Heather Romansky is here. Is Christine DeStasio here? Could she sound off if she's here? I do not see her as of yet.
I'll try to text her quick.
Yeah, I have no one. Thank you. I have no one in the waiting room. Greg Balassi. Bill Hall, are you here?
I'm here.
Thank you. Jerry Martin is here. Peter Gauthier, are you here? I've not seen Peter. I've not heard from Pete. I thought he was going to be here. So Greg Carabine is here, I think.
Yes.
I see him.
Yep.
And Kristen Talley. Hello, Kristen.
Oh.
Ex officio members, I saw Jamie Bender. I don't think Michael Driscoll was planning on being here. If he is, fine. Chris LaRose or any representative from NPU, I don't know. I know they got a meeting tonight, so not likely. But I think Jeff Browning was going to take a shot at attending if he could. Pat McLaughlin, I believe, should be here. Pat?
I am here.
The mayor, he may be busy. I don't know. I don't know if the mayor's here or not.
That's whoever.
Thank you.
Put on a mask.
Mark, Christine, I was able to reach her on the phone. She said she was having trouble getting in. I'm just resending her the link because sometimes I'll use the old one.
Yep, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let's see, Josh, I don't know if you're on. Are you on, Josh?
The phone person has their hand raised.
Oh, hang on. Yeah. Let's do that. Phone number ending in 6451. If you could hit *6 to unmute yourself. I have it set up that you can do it yourself.
Good evening, this is Antonetta with Construction Advocacy, just listening, and I might have unmuted myself by accident.
All right, well, no, you raised your hand maybe by accident.
Oh, sorry about that.
I just lowered your hand, but that's all right. Thank you very much. That's fine.
Thanks.
All right, so I don't see any others. Josh didn't sign in, and Kristen and Athena are not here right now. I know, so John Salamone, are you on? And Matt Brown, who are you representing? Oh, you're from the school facilities, right?
Works for us.
Right.
Yes, correct.
All right, good. I am unfortunately terrible with names, believe it or not. For a politician, I'm gosh darn awful. And so takes me a little while to get used to something sometimes. So, John Salamone, I don't believe he's here. And that's it. Is there anyone ex officio or that I didn't call that's
Bob
here?
Castronova is here.
Bob Castronova, right. Okay, Bob is right. He's also here as representing himself as the purchasing agent. He's an invited guest to participate in the whole process. Obviously, since he's writing, issuing, and essentially managing the process for us, obviously he should be here. Okay, let's go to the next thing. Public comment. Is there any public comment? Oh, excuse me, the minutes of the December 15th meeting. That should have been distributed. We should have that. I don't have it shared, but I need a motion, please, to approve the minutes, and then we'll go to any corrections or additions or deletions to the minutes.
I'll make
Anyone?
them.
By Heather, thank you. Second, Heather Romansky. Second by Greg Carabine. Any additions, corrections, or deletions to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. I'll do this whole thing again, move stuff around. Let's go from the bottom up. Kristen Talley.
Aye.
Greg Carabine.
Yes.
Peter Gauthier is not here. Gerald Martin.
Yes.
William Hull.
Yes.
Greg Balassi.
Yes.
That is how you pronounce it, right?
Balassi, yeah.
Balassi, okay.
Lassie with a buff.
Christine DeStasio, is she in yet? No.
I don't think so.
Heather Romansky,
Yes?
Joe DeLucia,
Yes.
Stacy Gould,
Yes.
and myself, I vote yes. Minutes will stand as approved. Is there any public comment today? Do we have any members of the public? If you are listening in, you may raise your hand by pressing *9 and I'll recognize you. And then you can unmute. Agenda off. And there we go. I think there's Christine coming in now. I see no hands raised. Last call, *9 if you're on the phone line and wish to make public comment. Hearing none, seeing none, public comment is now closed. So the one regular business order on the agenda, discussion, potential action, professional services needing to be retained, review and potential approval of the draft RFQ for services. Now, I'm going to put up on the screen something that hang on here, that Peter Gauthier did some corrections. And I'm going to put this up in a second. Here we go. I think this is the right one. Yep. And it's got some corrections and stuff on it. And in one case, there's a reorder of some things he suggested. I know he's not here right now to discuss it, but he did send it to me, so I did want to bring it up. And I'll use that as a working document. If the I don't know if anyone's taken the time to go over this in any great detail. I know the subcommittee of Greg, myself, and Peter did, and we discussed it. Obviously, we had a meeting with Bob Castronova and discussed how things should or would lay out, and we made a couple, some changes, and obviously we got the information back from Kristen regarding the overall views on the of the situations currently in Norwich school system that was at the beginning of the RFQ. So So if I run through some of these I'm going to run through some of these real quick. I don't think any of these most of these are not particularly objectionable. Some are just typographical things. Find such a, let me just, I'm going to make this a little bigger here because I'm old.
So much easier.
There you go. Control scroll, brother. That's it. So I learned that one a long time ago. The word to, and then he's got a note, delete is, this is unnecessary, is discussing purposes. It is redundant, this number 6 here. So that could be deleted. But I honestly, because I'm going to say that I don't want to remove it because, and this is the section where we talk about scope of services. So everything really to me should be included in there. So, I mean, I suppose you could delete it, but I don't think it's probably, I want that scope of services to be, entire and stand alone on its own. So if you're going to be redundant, that's a place to be redundant, I think. So that's one I don't want to change.
If I could, Mark.
Sure.
I agree with you. The purpose obviously, gets us going in a direction, but it seemed to me that this was a list saying what we want as an end product. So
right.
Anything we want as an end product needs to be in this list.
In that scope of services section.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm gonna delete that. Delete the delete. Did a member come in? Christine came in, just for the record. I don't know who's got a Galaxy Tab, but they're here. Whoever that is. The next piece is, let's see the next one. All right. Additional space for students currently outplaced. He suggests deleting and replace with returning currently outsourced special education programs to NPS. Now, I was thinking about this in that I don't necessarily want to limit that to, although special education are the ones we're most that we're most concerned about, I don't really want to limit it to that. I don't know if anyone else is here from, I don't know, Jamie or anyone else can speak to that issue. If I could hear from you.
Sure. I guess just for clarification, Mark, when you say you don't want it to limit it to just that, what did you have in mind?
Well, we'd want to certainly have enough space where we could bring in anyone that's outplaced that we can bring in. Now, some obviously have some specialized programs like VOAG, that kind of thing, or whatever that we wouldn't be bringing in, but that's not a lot of students. And that's NFA anyway, so that's not a huge deal. But
yeah, I think that we're not going to really be focusing on typical high school programs, but certainly programs that are students that are in high school attend special education programs that aren't at NFA or another one of our designated high schools. We really want to consider bringing those back.
So, I mean, special education is no doubt is the focus
with
this piece. So, but is it the only focus? I think that's my question as far as that goes. Are there any other outplacements in pre-K through 8 that we have that we could, that we would be bringing back into the system if they're
right now we have students that are attending parent choice schools, magnet schools, charter schools, tech schools. I don't think we're in that business, but alternative schools that that's like a Sachem campus at NFA. There are other designated high schools that have alternative programs. Other than NFA, we don't have anybody in an alternative setting, and if that's something that we wanted to explore, that would be we could consider that, but that's a whole other animal.
Yeah, we don't really have anybody in an alternative setting then, other than.
Norwich Free Academy, there are students that are attending an alternative program. So there's a whole definition around an alternative high school.
Yep.
And there has to be certain elements that qualify under that alternative category. So other than that, no, that's a general education, regular ed program. There might be students that are identified with a disability that attend that alternative program, but in essence, most of our students that attend that type of program is at NFA. We may have one or two in an EastCon program.
So we don't have anybody in, say, you know, like I meant, you know, as far as the pre-K through 8 program, we don't have, that wouldn't be applicable to that.
No, well, not an alternative, no.
Okay.
There's no alternative program for that age group for pre-K to 8 right now.
All right.
So it's
So
mainly.
this would be an appropriate change then, it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so returning currently outsourced special education programs to NPS. There we go. Now this was an interesting thing, potential city, right? Potentially accommodating other community special education programs.
Yeah, I can speak to that.
Go ahead.
So.
That's what I was hoping.
So right now we have a really robust transition program, our 18 to 22, now 22, it was 21 prior to this school year, but now it's up to 22, which has definitely expanded our need for space. And we have, you know, we have lots of communities around us that need that type of programming, but they're not large enough to run it themselves. So we tuition, and so we're paid, the city is paid a tuition amount for students to come to our transition academy. And it's been very widely acclaimed, you know, across our region and off at the state level. We also have some very specialized programs pre-K to 8, whereby I get the requests all the time from area directors like, Jamie, do you have any space for a, you know, XYZ child in your program? And I mean, right now we're maxed out. I can't entertain it, even though I'd love to, because that's how much I believe in our programming. So there is that option to expand and accept tuition, but we have to have the room, and right now we do not have that.
That sounds like a leave-in. Anyone object?
I just have a question.
Sure, Greg.
Just for clarification, when we talk about these special programs, special education programs, that excludes the high school age groups, right? That transition 18 to 22 and then K to 8, right?
It's
We're talking
anyone-
about those two segments,
Yeah.
correct?
It's anyone that that we could provide services for, to be honest with you. So within reason,
But
it
not during the high school.
could
period.
be.
So Greg, yeah, I'll chime in on that also. You know, the whole high school notion, you know, right now we don't have the programming structures in place to run a high school. You need to have a curriculum. I mean, the whole adoption process, which that's not what we're in this for.
Yeah.
But for
I understand.
for a special education program, right now I'm exploring at the state level of being able to provide a 9 through 12 strictly special education program for that middle of the road. Like, we can't really, we can meet their needs here in district because we have the personnel and the professionals and the expertise to run them pre-K to 8. 9 to 12, we want students to be in their least restrictive environment, have a high school experience. But for those students that may not be possible, our options are to outplace in a costly program where they do a very good job, but it's very expensive. So I've been recently exploring a 9 through 12 program that's just special education that we can run ourselves. We have the right personnel, we have people that want to do it. I just have to explore how to, and making sure that we have all of the different elements that the state requires in order to do that.
Including space. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Now I
obviously.
understand. Thank you.
I mean, space is why we're here, Greg, you know, so I mean.
This I understand. I just wasn't certain about the grades 9 through 12.
Yeah,
And we're
there you
talking
go.
about that transition afterwards, but I can better see the scope now. Thank you.
We couldn't run a high school where we would be issuing a diploma. We're not allowed to do that. We don't. That's not what we're, you know, a pre-K to 8 district can do. But I can run as much as my initial research has afforded, a 9 through 12 special education program that would be more aligned to a certificate of certification of completion, not a diploma. So these are the details that, you know, I don't want to lose you guys in, but those are the things that I explore and research constantly so that we can provide better programs for our kids.
But the
and
issue
deliver
here,
the
let's
performance.
face it, is that we're obligated to provide the service though.
Yep.
That's the
We're-
problem. So
exactly.
it's either we're gonna, you know, provide it here in-house or we're gonna have to send them out, you know.
Absolutely. Yep, you got it, Mark.
So if we can save the money, Greg, and provide the services here, you know, with our people and our tax dollars with, you know, staying in town, then, you know, I think I would rather do it that way if we have a choice. So,
And, you know,
think
from
it's
where I
wonderful. I
stand,
think it's a
it
good
is-
idea.
It is about that, but I wouldn't sacrifice, you know, like, I want to make sure our programming is good and I believe in it. So that's why I can entertain that in
Okay.
Norwich.
And certainly, I mean, we don't, you know, want to sacrifice the quality of the service either, you know, so. I have the utmost confidence that you can provide great quality of service, so.
Good.
Amazing.
All right. So Peter suggested just making a little kind of a formatting or textural change here, just so. I'm gonna say, let me check when a colon is in. Yeah. So so he's added the word including with a colon, which is fine, and because it lists all these things and stuff, so that's fine. That's nothing. So that's no big deal. It's just, I think, more of a preference thing. So there's some little typo things there, specifications and recommended improvements, added the S, closed the parentheses that was missing. He says this is duplicate expensive. The correct value is not commensurate with the cost. Design best practice, recommend for improvements required for full compliance. I gotta look at this here. So I didn't see that. Oh, it's a little duplicative. Yeah, it's a little redundant. 900 to 1,000 square foot versus existing classroom of 810 is expensive. I think this is more of an explanation rather than anything. So I'm thinking I'd want to leave it in. Does anyone feel that way or not feel that way?
Well, I have a question. I wonder if maybe Bob Castronuova can weigh in on a couple of these things as well in terms of any.
Bob, you got anything to say about it?
Not really. I mean, the things that you're looking at, and you know, I mean, obviously some of them are editorial, like you said, changes. As far as what I agree with the first, where you know, the very first one where you we're talking about keeping that in under the scope of services. We definitely want to keep that in there. Here, again, I mean, you know, let's be honest, when it gets down to when we have and these are not going to be the very first things someone's going to be doing, whoever we hire is going to be doing. So when you get down to these types of tasks, I mean, you're going to sit down and you're going to really define them. So you know, right now, I mean, if it's a little you know, if it duplicates a little bit, you know, I mean, it's
only giving an example anyway. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, you know, I just, you know, to me, and I mean, I do RFPs all the time, and we have, I mean, by the time you go through a whole RFP with all the different, you know, instructions to bidders and a draft contract, I mean, you say the same thing 3 or 4 times. To me, you know, does it get a little redundant? Yeah, but if it comes back to someone questioning, well, that wasn't in there, you can say, well, yeah, it was in there here and here and here, and you know, so you know, unless there's some real reason, like it's really, unless it makes it confusing, I guess would be my threshold. If it's something you say one way in one place and you kind of say something different but kind of the same, and another place and someone reading it might be confused, I would definitely say either take it out or clarify it. But if you're really just either stating something again or expanding on something you've already said, I don't, to me, from my point of view of putting these out, I don't see a real reason to take it out. But again, and I'll emphasize to everybody on the committee, this is your document. I work for you guys. So however you want to see it in the final form, that's what I'm going to do. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you, Bob. Particularly that, scope of work section's a whole different kind of kettle of fish. Some of the rest of this is, background or further information, or in this case, it lists an example, which I think for clarity's sake, I just assume leave in, even if it is redundant. So,
well, and I would say that the real red flags would be if we had two bullet items in different places on this document that contradicted each other.
Right.
That would be
right.
a problem. Right?
So redundancy, I mean, you don't want to be redundant, obviously, too much, but I think a little redundancy doesn't hurt, especially when it's a place of emphasis, But in this case, I don't, I think you run the risk, depending on where you're at, of losing some clarity. So I would just as soon have the clarity. This is an editorial choice here that he's got. So moving this to the end of the list. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that as long as it's on there. It gives you it's kind of an overall statement and stuff. So it might make more sense to have it at the end or at the beginning. But so I'm going to say at the end. I'll agree with them. Anybody got anything to say about that if I move it? Get rid of this. Jeez. Now the G. What dog? Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Gracie's making noise, Joe. Talk to Gracie, Joe.
My Gracie's in her room watching TV. What do you
Yeah, well, yours is human. Stop. My silly dog. I'll fix this afterwards anyway. Let's see. That's a delete. That's fine. That's a typo, basically. Maybe repurposed for community use. Well, actually, the word school I don't think should be, because repurposed for, it should say repurposed for school or community use, I think. Does that make sense?
Well, I'll weigh in. I think you need to take this, because at the beginning you say, note which, if any school or schools may be repurposed, and then you say school for community use. So I think the second school needs to come out of the sentence.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yep,
You're right.
I agree with Stacy.
Yep. I think that's why he's got it there. I wasn't reading it out loud. Yeah, that's fine. So, one original. Yeah, we can delete. We talked about this a little bit. It's just a, that's an old fashioned one. We always do when we doing RFPs and getting them back, they'd come in, you'd have like boxes of freaking RFPs that were printed out. This day and age, really not necessary. One original with a PDF with electronic copies that can be distributed, I think, are is just fine. So, does anyone got a problem with that? I hope not. Where's that? Oh, I'm doing something wrong. How come that didn't
That's
do
the paint can. I think.
Oh,
need
did
to
I? Oh,
highlight it.
geez. I just realized that. I'm going to
There
the
you go.
font thing. I'm going, what the hell am I doing?
Did you
That's a
scroll-
problem when you do this. Everybody sees your screw ups, you know?
If you scroll up, we skipped over, it looked like something.
Oh, yeah, the committee. Okay, that's right. You're right.
I'm just gonna say, and I know that we're getting down to the real small things here, but
I just wanted to go through them and knock them out. That's all.
yeah, I know, and that's fine, and that's fine. I just don't want to make a big deal out of this.
No.
But this one change right here is setting up a batting order of how these tasks are going to happen. When really Part B is just talking about who's going to do what the committee's going to do versus what the firm's going to be expected to do. So I don't think that we need to make a change in this paragraph at all. They don't need to be in a specific order. They're gonna organically happen in order.
Yeah. Offers the best value to the community. The committee, what was the change?
With the add of the word then, meaning that the second sentence happens.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It doesn't
That's
matter.
nothing.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's a nothing. Why is the committee highlighted in red?
I think it was just to draw attention to it.
All right. Committee will recommend for referendum funding.
No, the committee was added
Yeah, I think so. I think
because
so.
the original version of Bob says
What does it say?
it offers the best value to the community and will recommend for referendum funding.
Okay, we'll leave it. We'll leave it. Yeah, that's kind of an important piece. Now that time I didn't do, I just used the wrong frickin' one. Slip of the mouse. All right, okay. How much more did he do? Okay, it's just these
No, I think you,
one page, yeah. So, and the rest, and then we'll go to the section really that's gonna take a little discussion, I think. With bidder. All right, you said delete architect and replace with bidder. Is that, I don't think bidder is the right term here. Anyway. Bob?
I mean, you're saying architect, construction related, you could say the offerer, I mean, you could say the firm, I mean, it's semantics.
Yeah,
I would just change it to firm.
I think you're right. I just don't like bidder because this is an RFQ.
Right.
All right, the firm should list all architect, boom, boom, boom. Proposer, okay, SM. All right, your abilities of specific experience in assessing building systems and conditions and in preparing options for use of facilities. Delete this and capital improvement plans. And strategic facilities plans.
Okay.
Let's see how that reads. Your abilities and specific experience in assessing existing building systems and conditions and in preparing options for use of facilities, capital improvement plans, and strategic facilities plans. That sounds all right, I think, right? Anyone got anything to say? Sound off.
You had a red comma.
It's
Oh,
a little clunky.
Oh, there it is. Thank you.
And it is a little clunky. Your
Yeah.
abilities and specific experiences.
Yeah, that's experience can be a plural noun.
Well, yeah, I'm not.
In assessing existing building systems and conditions, and in preparing options for use of facilities, capital improvement plans, and strategic facilities plans.
It almost wants a I feel like an English teacher, and I'm not.
Semicolon.
Right. It almost wants a semicolon right there. Where you
You need
have
a breath when you read it.
right.
After conditions.
So it almost wants a semicolon right there. And
Where
then
it's specific, no, where would the semicolon be?
right where your mouse is, right where the cursor is flashing.
And specific experience.
Kristen Talley's shaking her head though.
All right, Kristen.
I think it needs a semicolon after the word conditions.
Get rid of and.
You can keep and.
I'll take your word for it.
It's two separate clauses.
Yeah, there you
Right. Yeah, right. That's the
There you
point.
go.
I was gonna say number them because it looks like three separate things, but
I don't think I did well in diagramming sentences when I was a kid or something.
I will yield because I'm the math teacher, so I'll yield on that one.
Okay, that's good though. Rest, I know that this is the only section here. In New England, this we discussed. I'm surprised it's even in here as a change. Come for travel, and expertise in New England. So the intention when we talk about this in subcommittee was to make sure that they had local, that they had the local experience, and that if they didn't, we wanted to just have them justify what the issues were. When we talked about this in subcommittee, how they would be able to provide the services. So that was a problem. I don't think that should be deleted. So remember that
was
Caribbean?
and I believe I added that
In
after,
New England.
or Kristen added that because we talked about, again, what you just said, Mark, that, we could get somebody from outside New England. If they have offices in New England, great, but, we don't want somebody from California, flying in, to do, because they don't have a local office, at least somewhere within, say, driving distance.
Yep. Right. So we had a discussion about that. Kristen was actually at the meeting too, and we did discuss that aspect of it. That was a concern of her based on her previous experience in Rhode Island, where they had somebody from, well out of state, the firm was, and then, they had people in, and it was a question, and they got billed for a lot of, travel and hotels and stuff like that she didn't think was appropriate. So, I'm going to delete the please, because I think that's correct probably. I'm usually good about please stuff, but when you put please in, it kind of leaves something to be, implies a choice, and I'm not trying to give them a choice. So include the number of staff expected to be dedicated to provide. I would just take the word expected out, to be honest with you, and he added expected to be, more contextual, I think, but I would rather, again, expected kind of takes it. I want I would rather have some kind of firmer language in there. Obviously, there's problems with this stuff, as you go along. There's always change orders and this and that, but I just want to be clear of the expectations. So, and I think adding.
Right. They should tell us if they're going to assign an entire team.
Right.
From schematic design all the way through construction, or what they're going to do, whether it's
include the number of staff to be dedicated to provide the requested services.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right. And their availability on and off site on a daily basis as needed to address emergent issues and planned work. That specifically addresses Kristen's concerns, I think. So I think we should agree with that change. And I think that completes that section. And,
Mark, can we just go back to that section? Because I think we've got 2B.
I just undid.
Include the number of staff dedicated to provide the requested services.
Yeah.
To be dedicated to provide.
Right. So what it is I think it kind of strengthens it. Include the number of staff to be, and it says he had a change suggestion expected, but I don't want the word expected.
No, because that leaves it up to
Right.
Well, what's my expectation versus
Yeah.
yours?
Include the number of staff to be dedicated to provide the requested services and their availability on and off-site on a daily basis as needed to address emergent issues and planned work. So I think that takes the play out of it. And certainly addresses the concerns that Kristen had when, we were talking about this in subcommittee. So,
Mark, you need to have another, the other end of the parentheses though in there somewhere.
Oh.
Yep, you're right. I don't think we need I think we need a colon or something, or a semicolon or whatever. I think it's a colon. Or something, I don't know. Or just a comma, maybe. A period, how about we start a new sentence? There's a novel approach. Get rid of the run-on sentence. Number of personnel employed by a company. Include the number of staff to be dedicated to provide the requested services and availability on and off site on a daily basis as needed to address emergent issues and planned work. Okay. How's that?
Oh,
Comma after as, before as, I think.
Before as, right?
After basis.
Right. Oh,
And
no.
after,
it
and
wouldn't
you
be,
could do
no.
another one as needed,
Off-site on a daily basis. Yeah, as needed.
comma,
To
as
address
needed.
emergent issues and planned work. Don't need another one. As needed to address emergent issues and planned work is one clause. All right. Yeah, it's a little clunky.
And again, not to get tied up in too deep in the weeds here, but that whole phrase there where it says the number of staff to be dedicated, what I don't like about that is the phrase to be, it projects into the future. We want to know how many, all right? So this number of staff that will be dedicated
To be, will be, sure, why not?
Well, that's what I said before, but
know.
now that Joe said it, it's
I
gonna
heard-
get done.
No,
I
I'm sorry
heard-
it wasn't, I'm
Yeah.
sorry I didn't catch that.
It's okay.
I'm sorry I did not catch that. I missed that. I'm sorry.
Staff that will be, or wait a minute, include number of staff that, yeah.
Staff,
That will be.
That will
Include the
be.
number of dedicated staff.
Ah,
Ooh, I like that. I can leave the rest of that out.
Well, hold on a second.
Wait a minute.
Hold on. They're dedicated staff. What? Because they take their job serious? They're dedicated to their work?
Stop, please.
No, I'm not kidding. I mean, we're not talking about
Right.
dedication of the staff. We're talking about who's
Okay.
going to be dedicated to our project.
Okay. You're actually you're right.
Happens every once in a while.
After
Yeah, you're
staff, you will need that.
Yeah, include the number of staff that will be.
That will be dedicated.
So,
Dedicated to provide the requested services and their availability of and on and off-site on a daily basis as needed to address emergent issues and planned work. All right. Okay, and that does that stuff. So the main thing, as I mentioned in my email when we set up the meeting, I sent out the agenda 3 times. The selection criteria is probably the biggest piece of this whole thing, in a sense, as far as we're concerned, because what we do here in this piece will basically determine, what, how we go about judging the RFQs when they come in. So there's some, you know, we certainly want to be able to justify as we go along what decisions we make, and this section will be, you know, how we justify what we're doing, because when we rate them, we're going to be using this criteria. It's a weighted criteria. So so what's on the table here is the actual criteria, obviously, which some of it is pretty much you know, formulaic. I mean, that you see in this kind of stuff all the time. But we did add one category, and that's the last one, F, positive or negative history of litigation, because I think that has some value. So specifically, I think Peter suggested that, and I believe that is the case. So I do agree with that. So, but what's also on the table is how it's weighted. So when we came up, we had a starting point. You know, the firm's background and professional experience. You know, we'll just say A here, which is kind of long, but that certainly to me was the most important thing. So we put 30% on there. So that's the biggest piece. The second biggest piece at 25% we put in is the firm's track record, you know, proven track record. So as far as gaining community support and for the selection of the options. So as we go on down the road and we look to get that, I mean, let's face it, if we don't get this thing through to a referendum and approved and stuff, we're kind of wasting our time here. So, well, not totally, but you know, I think you see my point. So that was, I think, is a significant part of what we did, but that's certainly arguable that we could reduce that number or change it or even increase it, whatever you guys think. The firm's ability to complete work within the required time frame and commit staff in a timely way when requested. We just got through discussing the importance of that. That is the third highest rated thing. So what we're going to get for staff that is dedicated to our project and those kind of things, those are things, plus their record really in completion of work. So that's 15%. Their demonstrated understanding of work, that's almost part of A, in a sense that, you know, it's gonna, I think you're judging that by experience to some extent, and that they've been working on these kind of projects. And the evidence of special or innovative approach the firm will use. I think this is going to be the toughest one to rate, to be honest with you. So we'll have to come up with some kind of objective matrix to rate that particular category. Well, we got to do that with all the categories, to be honest with you. But the and then the positive or negative history of litigation, which will, you know, again, you know, we're going to have to come up with some kind of matrix to rate these. So, so I showed you what the subcommittee came up with right here. Anyone want to chime in?
I agree with the percentages.
Thank you, Greg. Since Greg was on the subcommittee, you know. I just kind of find it a little amusing. So anyone else want to chime in on this? If they think it's okay. I certainly, you know.
Well, I
think all the bases are covered.
Yeah, no, that I believe, but I mean, if there's anything, you know, so I'm good with A through F, personally. But I certainly, you know, I'm open to any changes or, you know, adjusting the percentages or whatever. If people think the priority should be different, you know, by all means, pipe up and let's talk about it. So.
Well, I don't have anything on. I agree with Greg that the percentages are pretty much where they want to be, and I think that the items are, the individual items are appropriate. But beyond having a matrix that's going to calculate this weighted rating that we're going to create, and then hopefully also rank, you know, have a ranking
That's what the matrix will do essentially. It'll set you up to rate them.
But beyond that, the matrix is going to get filled based on how you intend to score these 6 items.
Right.
So not only do you need a matrix that's going to do the math, but you're also going to need a rubric that says that helps you score one firm over another over the next based on.
Actually, that's what I really, that's honestly what I meant, but I didn't use the correct terminology. I am sorry. So rubric is the correct term to use here.
Well,
So.
yeah, and you know, I'm not trying to.
We'll need a criteria to rate.
Right, but we're going to have to spend some time as a group coming up with that rubric that says this. You know, this is how a firm scores a 5 on category A. Here's how you score a 4. Here's how you score a 3, and right down the list. And then whatever that score is 30% of their total score.
Yep.
So it's gonna take some time to develop an effective rubric for each one of these 6 items.
Yeah, no, I think that'll be, you know, if we agree tonight to send this out, you know, in this form, I will, I think that at that point, that process needs to start. So simple enough.
Oh, Mark and Stacy again, can I ask a question?
Sure.
All right, so under selection criteria, we've got B at 25%, that they've been a track record to succeed in gaining community support. We've got 15%, the firm's ability to complete the work within the retired timeline. I would say that, yes, if we don't get the community support, the project's not going to go forward. But their ability to complete the work within the required timeline and to commit the staff to meet that, I think those are equally important.
Okay.
I agree with Stacy on that myself.
Figures you would. Yeah.
Well, so at least somebody agrees with me. Thank you, Jerry.
No, I think that's certainly reasonable. Anybody object?
Well, my only question is, where's that additional 10% that you want to place on item C going to come from?
No,
Well,
reduce
And
the
redistributed.
reduce B.
Oh, well, all right, and that's fine. I saw that you made those changes, but that's one way to get there. The other way is to shave some of the percentage points off of D, E, and F. I mean, there's 2 ways to arrive at having balance between B and C.
You could. I'm listening.
And I'm not saying that let's look at both. Let's look at all options before we just, you know, make a change. I don't have a problem with the 20 and a 20, and you know, the rest of the committee can chime in on that. I'm just saying it's not the only way to get B and C to have equal weight.
Absolutely. Anyone else want to chime in on that? I think, you know, I think it's a fair way. I think when you point it out, but I also don't want to cut back too much on the others, you know, because I think they have, you know, once you go under 10%, you know, you're minimizing the importance of any of the other ones. So
fair point. Yeah, that's a fair point.
So I think one's 30, one's 20, one's 20, and the others are 10. I think that makes sense.
I think the rubric will flesh all that out at the end, but I want to make sure that they understand that it's equally important to get the support from the community, to gain support in the community. It's also equally importantly to complete the work on time. You know,
I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. I guess that'd be the best way to put it. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, they're not the same thing, but you know, they're both very important.
They're both very important. I mean, their expertise in the area is the most important thing. We don't want to have someone who's inexperienced. But then the next 2 most important things are gaining the community support and then coming in on time. and not going over budget, because then we're back to, oh, well, we need more money for the project because you didn't complete it on time. That has to be, those have to go hand in hand, in my opinion.
When you get down to these projects and you have contingency built in, as inevitably there are some change orders. Greg could talk to that, I'm sure. So there's not, and Joe's worked on these projects. I've worked on these projects. There's always going to be change orders. There's stuff that's going to come up that you got to deal with. So you build that into the cost from the get-go. So obviously you don't want to overspend that too early or too much, but and deal with those issues. But certainly what you're talking about though is the main piece, and that it obviously has to be a competent firm that can meet those deadlines, and deal with the budget issues. So,
Mark, if I could interject also, I know I saw when Norwich Tech was renovated, the punch list was never completed. It was never completed. The final
punch never completed.
Was never completed. There were things left over, years after that had never been finished.
Well, during the course of the I know in Kelly, during the course of the project, we did what I would call a wish list. So when we got towards the end of the project and we still had some room to do things, we had to make a decision on the budget as far as, all right, we're going to have this much in contingency left. Are we going to spend any of it to do some of these things that we really wanted to do? Like there was some locker room work and some other things that we really wanted to do but it was iffy if we could include it in the scope at that, prior to that. So there was some work that got done, based on that. So, but that's what happens. You have to make some decisions. Now, what happens though is if you're in a situation where you go out of contingency, and sometimes that happens, especially if you have litigation and stuff like that, then you have to make some decisions on cutting back on the project and the actual build of the project. So that's a much harder situation. That's what this committee would be tasked to do.
Right, but the punch list were things that were initially supposed to be done, and some odds and ends like with tiling that wasn't done properly, and things like that.
Did they get paid? Did they not hold the?
Well, that was the problem. They got paid, and nothing was held back in escrow.
As part of the project, you should be holding back monies until everything's done.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and not to get too deep into it, but because you had the State Department of Education, you had DAS. Right, you had
too many chiefs.
Right, you had these huge monolithic departments in the state of Connecticut, all with their fingers in the pie, and that's why things fell through. But I will say that the project in Colchester in the middle school, the secret was revealed. The principal of the building literally walked around with sticky notes every single day and put a sticky note on every single thing that was on the punch list that had not been done. And he called the construction manager every single day. He took ownership of it and he called every single day until they were just sick getting the phone calls and they got all the little punch list items fixed, done. And that's what the secret is. You have to just stay on it until you get what you want.
This is Bob. I just want to chime in. I just want you guys to remember that whatever firm you select, this RFQ is not, may not be the firm that does the construction. This is all for the planning and approval process. To get a plan. I mean, this firm here. That whoever we pick may not be our project manager. We're going to be going out with a new. So what I hear what you're saying, and I understand all those issues, and punch list when you get to construction and stuff. But that's not going to apply to this.
Right. That's not what we're talking about with this part of the project.
Good point. Yeah.
So I think we're just getting a little ahead of ourselves there. That's all, Bob. Thank you. It happens. But those are all things that we're gonna need to consider, so down the road. So that's the truth, so. And it's good that people have that experience, so. Selection criteria, anyone else want to do anything else with this? All right, so this is stuff that Bob said. I asked Bob to set up the dates based on us approving this tonight. If we don't approve this tonight for some reason, then the dates will be altered. But this is basically what we're looking at for the time frame. If we issue the RFQ and request for information, responses to the RFI posted to the questions, and then the due date would be April 7th. And then we'd set up interviews.
And these are just dates that I kind of, are, this is a little bit different than some of the other advertisements I do. So if you want more time, like between when the deadline for the RFIs and the responses, because, I will answer whatever RFIs I can, but I'm guessing that there may be a good number that are going to have to go to the committee to be answered. So, we may want to have more than, 9 days or 10 days there between the deadline for RFIs and the response, our responses due back. Those dates, none of these dates are set in stone. You guys tell me, what you want, and that there's no formula. It's what the committee feels comfortable as far as the dates go. I just want to say that.
The only thing I wonder about is that, if there's stuff that has to go to the committee, that we may need to call a special meeting. That's all.
Right, and that's why I said, I'm looking at the request for the RFIs, or the deadline for RFIs is the 17th, and then we're going to post a response. We may want to, you may want to give yourselves a little more time. You do need to give them time to digest. And that's the thing. The RFIs will come in probably from a number of firms. They'll have to go out. What I'll do is I'll collate them as they come in. I can start disseminating them, but on March 17th, when the deadline comes, then we'll have a whole set of RFIs. And then that has to get posted as an addendum so that every potential offerer has the same information. That's what we're required to do. So even though they might not have sent the question in, everybody that's a potential offerer has to see what we're giving for an answer to somebody else. So that'll have to be posted. That's why you give them time between the times you post the answers and when you require the final their final packages to be submitted.
There you go. Obviously you gave us these dates. You think they're reasonable. So
the only thing I do question is the time between the deadline for the RFIs and the responses. I don't know if you want to give yourselves a little more time, and then I can push the RFQ, the deadline for the bid out a little bit. Again, it's if you push everything out.
Well, I think you could push it out to, I would say, what we got, 9 days on here?
Right.
So if you do the full 2 weeks, it's the 31st, right? So if we want to do that.
30 days.
So here's the concern, right? Our March meeting happens on the 16th. The deadline for the RFIs is the next day. So we could literally get those RFIs in on the 17th after we've met and have to respond to all of them before we meet again, which is on the 20th of April.
Well, I tell you what, if we need a short special meeting to respond to one that comes in on the 17th, then I guess we do that.
So here, there's what is the 17th is what day of the week?
Wednesday.
So what if I make the deadline the 15th?
There you go.
You know, that gives them 2 weeks to
Yeah.
see. It's been advertised for 2 weeks. They've had 2 weeks to digest it and come up with any questions. You know, then everybody will have the question at 4 o'clock. The deadline will be 4 o'clock on the 15th.
Yep.
I'll shoot them out to Mark and he can disseminate them to everybody, you know, that night or the first thing on the 16th, and everybody you'll all have them and have seen them before you meet on the evening of the 16th, right?
Right.
That would work. I
Okay.
think that would
Wait a
work.
minute, our meeting in March is the 23rd, I thought, the fourth Tuesday.
No, it's January and February is the fourth Tuesday.
So March, we're going to the third Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Unless I'm mistaken.
I'm
I think
looking
that's
at
what it is.
the calendar right now.
It's the third Tuesday. You made these 2 months the fourth Tuesday because of holidays and
Right,
elections
right,
with the city council meetings.
I just wanted to double check. I thought the same thing. Yeah,
Right, Catherine. Thank
we're
you.
on the city's calendar for the 16th.
Right. January and February both are holiday impacted months where, you know, we had to push the date back a week. So next week, you know, it'll be a month from now, you know, 28 days from now, whatever.
And to be honest, I mean, I put March 1st because I was giving you guys, I mean, I can, if you're
It could
all,
probably be sooner, right?
right, if you're all agreed on this tonight, I mean, it's just a matter of putting some boilerplate on the front of it. And, you know, I can get this out, you know, probably next week. You know, so.
You know what? I was thinking about that myself. I says, yeah, I mean, there's no reason that we don't have to wait till March.
No, I put that in there because I wasn't sure that you know, if I was in my head thinking that we may have, I may have had to wait until after your February meeting. I didn't know how, you know, where the committee would be tonight after the meeting, if you guys would all be in agreement and give me the go ahead to do this. So again, these are just dates I threw in there, thinking that you might not be done until after your February meeting. But if you're going to give me the go ahead tonight, I can certainly move these dates up.
Okay, well, let's do that with consideration that we'll, you know, that we're going to need to have enough time, give enough time for the RFIs and for us to
Well,
possibly meet.
so you're telling me what's the date of the February meeting for this committee?
Is it really the 23rd?
I gotta look.
16th.
No, it's the week after.
The fourth Tuesday is the 23rd.
Yeah, it's the 23rd, right? Yep.
Yeah, it'd be the fourth Tuesday because of the holiday.
Yep.
All the Monday meetings all get pushed up to Tuesday, which is the city council and some other stuff plus. So so we'll move to, again, it'll be like this month where we go to the fourth Tuesday. So it'll be the 23rd next month.
So what if I issue this on February 1st? I do RFIs in by, you know, give them, you know, 2 weeks or maybe a couple of days. You're meeting on the 23rd. So you'll have the RFIs well before your meeting.
Yeah, so I mean, if we give them like to the 7th, you want to give them to the 17th? That makes sense?
Sure, February 17th.
February 17th, a couple
Yeah.
extra days. So, and then you can
We can
distribute
post
after
the
that.
answers. If your meeting's on the 23rd, on a Tuesday, we can post the answers. You know, if we get through all the questions and we have the answers, we could post them on the 24th, unless you want to give yourselves a little bit more, you know, possibly, you know, thinking you might not get through them all. You might have to do so. I don't know. It's up to you, but.
Well, we're gonna have to come up with something at that point. So I'm saying, well, you know, the 24th will be the.
Okay.
So we'll post it on the 24th. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, the answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mark, can you make those changes on that document? So
Yep. So let's,
you're gonna make that February 1st, right?
yeah, hang on, let me get this freaking thing back over here. There are too many monitors running. And I type with crap, with the crap.
You're just bragging about their monitors, now you're complaining.
Well, I'm just trying to get the mouse, because I set them up the way they physically are. So one's in the middle, two's up here, three's over here. And it's like, okay, whatever. So I got them overlapping. It's crazy. So anyway, February 1st, request for information. So that would be
February 17th?
February 17th, right?
I think so.
Thank you. And do that. Responses will be posted February 24th.
Yeah.
So what would be a good opening date then, Bob?
I would really like to get, I mean, again, you want to give them time to digest everything. You want to make sure they, the RFIs that came in, they have time to everybody has time, because there's going to be, firms are going to be seeing questions that they didn't submit, that either they didn't think about or whatever. I would say 2 weeks from the 24th.
Okay, makes sense.
I'm not sure what date that
March 10th is a Wednesday.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
March
perfect.
10th. Then that would give us time to get it out and digest it a little bit.
Yep.
All right. What am I doing? I did the wrong thing here. Well, maybe I didn't. Thank God for undo and redos. So what did we say?
March 10th.
March 10th.
March 10th?
And then in the request for information, second line, you need to make it February 17th, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I got here.
No.
Oh, request?
For information in the actual paragraph.
Yeah, down underneath there, Mark.
Second line.
In
4 p.m.
the
on
wording, Mark, in the wording.
Request for information.
the paragraph.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Second line. That's all
Right.
right. Second line, February 17th.
Base cadet.
March.
And there's a red period there too.
Is there? I don't know how that got in there. Relax, dog. God. Dog just showed up again. All right, so I'm missing something else. Okay, so February 1st, February 17th, February 24th, March 10th. And that'll give us time to take a look and maybe even begin to schedule some interviews if we get to that point.
Well, you're gonna have to, that's what,
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna have to decide the finalists first.
You're
yeah.
gonna have to score, if you get 3 or 4, it's one thing. If you get 10, you're gonna have your work cut out for you to.
Yeah, all right.
And I just want to tell everybody, in case you haven't been involved in this process before, when you get to the scoring part of it, your score sheets need to be kept. Those become part of the public record. They can be FOI'd, okay? So
Thank you.
you can't score it and then throw it away.
Let's say, we'd submit him to your office when we're done with him.
Yeah, and
Keep
absolutely.
for the
yeah.
record.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Mark, can I ask you a question?
Sure, Chair.
Between the time between requests for information and responses to RFI posted, are we sure you want a little more time in between there? Because you went from 9 days to 7 now.
That's true. Really,
Well, you're gonna have the RFIs in by the 17th. Everybody on the committee is gonna have them. You're
Yeah.
gonna have a meeting on the 23rd,
yeah, that's what it's for. Yeah.
right? I mean, you can push it out. I don't care. You tell me when you
Yeah,
want.
Jerry, yeah, that's based on, because we're meeting on the 23rd, so that gives people time to get the questions in. That's 17 days for them to get the questions in, 16. And then we'll get, Yeah, and then we'll have the response, a lot of the responses I think will be from the purchasing office or from Kristen or whatever. But there are likely to be some that the committee may have to answer. So that being the case, that we'll be able to do that on the 23rd, and then all the answers will be posted on the 24th. Does that make sense, Jerry?
Tight, but yeah, I see why you did it.
Yeah, all right.
You can push it out. I mean, it's, if you want to, the 24th is.
If we need to, Bob, we could file an addendum if it came down to that, couldn't we?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Again, that, I've done plenty of, bids that, the due date gets pushed out. None of this is like, okay, once we say it can't be changed. Okay, we can put an addendum out if we get to the point where, we get 100 RFIs, and even though you got a meeting on the 23rd, we haven't got through, we can put out an addendum that says, we're going to post the responses later, or we're going to extend the bid opening. All those things are possibilities. So none of this is so set in stone that it can't be changed.
Right. But this is certainly I think it's a reasonable place to start, and gives us a reasonable chance, let's put it this way, of completing the process the way we have it listed, I think. So, but obviously we don't know until we see how how everything comes in. So, anyone have anything else to say on this one?
Well, I'm going to pipe in and just say, that's only 5 business days from the time you get the request, the RFI, to when the response has to be posted. So you're going to have.
Yeah, but that's on us.
Right, but if Bob is answering some of the questions, or the superintendent or her office's answer has to chime in, it's only 5 working days.
I don't think that's.
If you don't think that's, I mean, maybe we only get 2 and it's easy breezy, but
I don't think that's gonna. Like I said, if it's a problem, then we can always file an addendum. We can always.
And as these, you're not going to get, everybody's not going to send in their questions on the 17th. They're going to be coming in from the date this is advertised right up to 4 o'clock on the 17th. So I'm gonna start sending those out. I'm either going to start answering them myself if it's in my wheelhouse, or I'm going to be sending them out. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll create a document and I'll send that out. If I'm able to answer it, great. If it's someone else to answer it, that's fine too. So it's not like you're going to get all these questions boom on the 17th, but that's the deadline for the questions. So hopefully there'll be questions. The majority of them will be in before then. I'll have disseminated them to if they need to be answered outside of my office. So, hopefully it'll just be a few in the last couple of days, But again, like Mark said, if we, for some reason, we get 100 questions in on the 17th and, Kristen says, look, I'm just slammed and you guys, there's a lot of questions for you guys to answer. From my point of view, what I can answer, I can do that in 5 days, but I can't, again, I don't think any of us, I'm not an architectural firm. I don't know, I've done this long enough to know that there's going to be questions coming in that I never even thought that someone would ask. And so I can't predict, if it'll be a ton of questions, if it'll be a couple of questions. A lot of times it's redundant among a number of firms. So you may get one firm ask you 5 questions and then 3 days later, another firm comes in and they've got 5 questions, but 3 of them are the same as you've already gotten, so again,
thank you for the clarification, Bob.
Okay. Anyone have anything else on this? Does anyone have anything else on the rest of it? Because the rest of it's all just boilerplate stuff, I think. Instructions for the submission, all that other good stuff. Insurance, workers' comp, blah, blah, blah. stuff more for Corporation Counsel than us.
Yeah.
All right. With all that said, how's everyone feel? Could I get a motion to adopt it as corrected? Man, there's something I saw in red here. Hang on. I gotta fix. Problem. All right, there's something I missed. Review district enrollment forecast data, and I think the end needs to go based on where current and future students will reside on the next decade. And based on, I guess it's fine. So on page 4, there was a suggestion just to do number 5, review district enrollment forecast data and add the words based on where current and future students will reside in the next decade, district demographics, educational vision, needs of students, and financials, and financials. I think probably 2, all right, it says to prepare and suggest the optimum size schools. Yeah, I don't see any reason why 2 can't be in there.
I agree.
So we'll add the words based on, which is fine.
Oh, looks like another semicolon.
Maybe. All right, I've had a,
Just kidding. Just
I'm still not sold on the one that I suggested anyway, so it's fine.
oh God, that was always one thing that screwed me up, I'll tell you. All right, good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save this. I'll send it out to everybody as it is, and I'll send it to Bob, obviously, and we'll do that. And we'll get this going. All right, that makes sense. All right, I'll need a motion to approve it as corrected.
I'll make a motion that we approve the corrected request for qualifications.
Okay. A second by anyone?
Second.
I'll second.
Second by Greg Carabine. And with that, we're going to, any other discussion on it? Hearing no discussion, the voting members. Kristen Talley.
Yes.
Gerald Martin.
Yes.
Greg Carabine.
Yes.
William Hull.
Yes.
Greg Balassi.
Yes.
Christine DeStasio.
Yes.
Heather Romansky.
Yes.
Joe DeLucia.
yes.
Stacy Gould.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Is anyone else, did I miss anyone? I do not believe so. Okay. The motion is approved. I'll get this off to Bob and everyone else, a copy. And I think that's the only thing on our agenda, unless somebody has anything else they need to bring up. Hearing none, a motion to adjourn will be in order.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Stacy can do it. Jerry is second.
Oh, man.
We got to stick together, Jerry.
Yep, we do.
Okay. All in favor again. Kristen Talley.
Yes.
Greg Carabine.
Yes.
Jerry Martin.
Yes.
Bill Hull.
Yes.
Greg Balassi.
Yes.
Christine DeStasio.
Yes.
Heather Romansky.
Yes.
Joe DeLucia.
Yes.
Stacy Gould.
Yes.
Mark Betancourt votes yes. Folks, we stand adjourned at 7:55 p.m. I thank everyone for attending. Those that are visiting and paying attention, most of you, I'm sure, are going to be submitting bids. Look forward to hearing from you, and hopefully you'll be in the run. Have a great night, everybody. Take care.
Everyone.
See ya.
All right.